Hello and welcome back to Mask of the Plague Doctor by Peter Parrish with me, Barden. Right, so before we get started, let me show you our stats so you can see where we are. So physician is at 32, surgeon 56, mysticism 59. Wow, that's a lot higher than I thought it would be. Presence 46, panache 48, resilience 54. We are still more compassionate than ruthless, more blasphemous than pious, more populist than feudalist, more principled than opportunistic, and we're slightly more jovial than dour now, okay? Sourcing the contagion, we're at 53%. Progress on the cure, we're at 35%. Infection spread is 36%, so we caught up a little on that, not by much though. Then the ascendant powers of Thornback Hollow, unrest is at 66%. Crowd favour and revolt are evenly balanced. We are 46% popular support for Corvée and 46% dweller influence, so they're really neck and neck there. Then in terms of our companions, 67% with Alice, 46% with Ayoko, and 61% with Lucia. So the hug, first of all, choosing to spend the morning with Alice, and that more than just friends embrace that we had meant that she has now overtaken Lucia as the person most esteemed in our affections. Then Sybil Blake doesn't like it very much, even less than she used to, because we apparently traipsed mud into her sitting room and put it all over her nice chair, but we think there's something else behind that as well. Alviva is pretty much the same as before. Rosalind is a 44, which is pretty high for someone we've just met, but we didn't make commitment to backing them as mayor, but we put it in such a way that if they became mayor, or they were made a move to become mayor and would put a lot of effort into solving or curing the waking death, then they would have our tacit support at least. Quelm then is still at 30%, and we saw the dweller influence before. Okay, so let's head on back to the game, please. There we go, return to game. Right, so just one more thing as well is I made the text a little bit bigger because I did find in previous ones I'm having a little bit of difficulty in reading it, and part of that was probably the fact that I wasn't wearing my glasses, which I haven't done for months, actually since I came back to Ireland. But now I've got my glasses on. We do need a bit of cleaning. There's a smudge on one of the lenses. But yeah, I've got my glasses on and made the text a bit bigger. So hopefully the reading will be a little smoother. But there will still be the odd little mistake because I am dyslexic. So now and again a word I'll miss my place, or a word will seem like it's another word and it's not. Yeah, that can't be avoided. But let's get back into it. You think you see a slight twitch in her left eye, but you can't be sure. She gives no other indication of even having heard the question. Send them in! Oh, it's the Baron, right? Send him in! Bellows a voice you recognise as the Baron's. As her colleague reappears from the tent, the guard makes a sudden motion for you to enter. The inside of the tent has a faint odour of sweat. Morland is seated behind the same wooden table, looking more dishevelled. His greying beard is lank, and there are deeper hollows to his pointed features. The papers strewn across the surface before him appear in even more disarray than your last visit. That's far enough, he says as you approach. Keep your distance and leave the mask on. I'm taking enough of a risk allowing you to leave the town, but needs must. Sitting forward in his chair, the Baron sifts through layers of parchment. So, you're the one they sent, he says. Funny, I was expecting the fox. You see him assess each scroll in turn, retaining one or two by his side and sending the rest fluttering to the floor with a dismissive push or idle toss. I've had a few observant fellows in town keeping watch over you, he says. How the three of you have been dealing with the epidemic in Thornback Hollow and so forth. But the quarantine, you reply. How have... People cannot leave Thornback Hollow, Doctor, but messages can. He rustles the papers in your direction. Now, do you anticipate these reports will be favourable, I wonder? They will show we have maintained the highest medical principles. Such confidence, he says. But let us see if you speak true. Moreland views the top leaf of his stack of parchment. My informants report that the spread of infection appears to have slowed. Whether that is by chance, fortune, or your astute actions, I cannot say. Nonetheless, this is encouraging news. You thank him with a nod. Alas, I've heard that relations between your group and Mayor Blake are somewhat strained. You try to explain that Sybil's attitude towards the plague threatens to make the situation in town far worse. Nonetheless, she has the Crown's backing, the Baron replies, and her hand is necessary to maintain order. Without order, society begins to crack. And do you know what spills forth from these cracks? Untold chaos. He bristles, his voice rising. I'd sooner set this whole bloody town aflame than try to face a revolt with... He halts, pausing to recompose himself. Simply put, we cannot take that risk. Moreland looks you up and down. You adjust your feet in discomfort, unsure what direction this meeting will take. The Baron expels a weary groan, running a palm across his face. Doctor, if you're unable to carry out the task entrusted to you, it will make both of our lives very difficult. In truth, yours more than mine. He leans even farther forward across the desk, making pointed gestures to emphasize his words. I do not look forward to an imperial order forcing me to begin a purge of Thornback Hollow, nor do I wish to be presiding over the slow starvation of my garrison. Convince me that you and your colleagues are still capable of overcoming this disease. You try to think fast beneath his glare. A multitude of explanations and rationalizations for your stymied progress run through your mind, or perhaps a distraction will better serve your interests. Yeah, let's go with this one. Let's shove his crown up his ass, as it were, to put it back on him. I assert the Crown Law demands he use his authority to support our efforts. You will continue to support my fellow physicians and myself. Crown Law demands it, you say, scarce believing that you are uttering these words to your Baron. If you do not, you will be in dereliction of your obligations and bring shame to the House of Moreland. The Baron's face is red with fury. Your reminders of duty and office have been received poorly. You presume to dictate terms to me, he spits, to threaten the honour of my house. With a resounding crash, he slams a fist down on the surface of the table. Papers and parchment are scattered. You have neither the authority nor the blood to allow such terms to leave your wretched lips. You bow your head, expecting the worst. Perhaps it brings you some misguided sense of work to swan around spouting Crown Law while my soldiers are days away from consuming boiled boot leather. Well, they'll be eating a little better from now on. By decree, I'm ending all ration deliveries to Thornback Hollow. Perhaps that will concentrate that diligent legal mind of yours. People will perish. You risk... I know what I risk, he shouts, his cheeks flush. My decision will stand. The Baron rises from behind his desk and calls for the guard. As a tight-lipped soldier from their earlier encounter enters the tent, you feel a flutter of panic. But instead of ordering for you to be hauled away, Morland adopts a calmer tone. Ilaria, you will be escorting the physician back to Thornback Hollow. See that he is returned in one piece. My lord, she says, tilting her head in acknowledgement. As for you, his glare turns back to you. Perhaps you may yet redeem yourself. Is there any other information you wish to divulge? You turn the question over in your mind. I've had worrying encounters with a sect devoted to a being called the Dweller in Thorns. That name means nothing to me, the Baron says. You begin to describe the curious visions you've experienced in town, but tail off as Morland's expression turns from confusion to unease. I'm not sure what you think you saw, he says, but I believe you would be best served keeping these episodes to yourself. With a flourish of his hand, you are dismissed. You leave the tent with Ilaria at your side. Together you depart from the Baron's camp and embark on the trail back to Thornback Hollow. After some futile attempts to engage your travelling companion in conversation, you settle in for a silent journey. The road itself is peaceful, even as the late afternoon sun begins to conceal itself behind the horizon. The town itself looks at rest, squeezed tight behind the embrace of its surrounding wall. With creeping dread within the depths of your stomach belies this idyllic folly. You balk at the thought of having to return to those pestilent streets. Yet, even as the needles of fear prick your gut, you feel another sensation stir and tug, the pull of an unbreakable thread drawing you back. I won't abandon my colleagues. Ilaria stands at the open gate, ensuring you cross the threshold. She bids you a silent farewell as the mechanisms howl and grind, swinging the southern entrance to a close. You keep a brisk pace as you make your way back to the sanctuary. From the road you see dots of flame speckling the windows. The monks are lighting torches, fending off the evening gloom. You hear Alice and Ioko's voices as you descend the stairs to the cellar. Just think that we must prepare for that. We'll find a cure, Ioko. But if we can't, what then? What if the Baron is marching on us right now? Gamel wouldn't let that happen. Gamel may not have a choice. Nobody's marching on Thornback Hollow today, you assure them, rounding the corner and entering the cellar laboratory. Your colleagues look up from their conversation, relief on their faces. I knew you'd make the Baron see sense, Alan says with a smile. You take a seat on a nearby bench, wondering how best to deliver the bad news. What's the matter, Gamel? Says Alice, noticing the turn in your expression. By the Baron's decree, Thornback Hollow is to be cut off from all further rations, you say. He believes it will concentrate our minds. The last words fall heavy from your tongue. Or give him the excuse he needs to sweep us aside as soon as chaos is unleashed, Ayoko says, slumping in bitter resignation. Alice's hand goes to her face. Deities, she whispers. There'll be food enough for a few days, you say, struggling even to reassure yourself. Days. Maybe. And then? Ayoko says. Then we rely on each other. The three of you fall silent, lost in your own unspoken visions of what may await. Movement in the doorway. Your meeting is interrupted by a quiet cough and sound of shuffling. A tall monk with a stooped posture is standing in the doorway. You notice she has only 3 fingers on her right hand. Don't mean to disturb the research, she says, continuing to fidget. Only, You're needed upstairs. Mayor's got a task for you. Her timing is impeccable, Alice says. The monk shifts her weight around. Does that mean you'll come, or... Her voice falters. Better hear her out, Ayoko says. She controls what little food remains in this town. The three of you stand, gathering your masks and possessions, before heading towards the stairs. You're the last through the doorway, and feel the monk tug at your robes. Friend in the guild wishes to see you too, she says with first caution. Behind the sanctuary, where the corpse cart collects the dead. Charming, you say with a nod of confirmation. The monk nods back and you file out into the corridor. With a mumbled apology, she makes her way to the head of the group, leading you back up the stairs. Out of earshot, you make a remark to your colleagues. Let's see, what would we say? I wonder what fresh misery the mayor has in store for us. With luck, her interests will coincide with ours, Alice whispers back. Let's be careful what we wish for, Ayoko intones as he follows the monk up the stairs. Your guide sets a fast pace. You follow her along a series of passageways, taking turns that bewilder your sense of direction. It feels as if you may still be in the dormitory building, but you cannot be certain. At last, you are directed to a plain wooden door, somewhere within the sanctuary's broad confines. The monk knocks, hesitates for a moment, then swings the door open. The room inside is furnished to surprising excess. Instead of the sparse, austere quarters you're used to, this space has decorative wall panellings, a pair of landscape paintings in rich hues, and chairs adorned with plush rugs. Upon those chairs are seating Mirs Blake's militia captain, Frida, the second guard you do not recognise. Frida takes a gulp from the tin brass chalice and wipes her mouth with a dark blue sleeve. You're here, she says. Good. Careful with those chairs, Ayoko says, motioning to the furniture. Never know what they may be worth. Don't care for your jokes and don't have time for them, is Frida's blunt reply. The mayor is extending you a chance of forgiveness to make up for your prior indiscretions. Really? Alice says, folding her arms. In return for what? You like this, the captain says. We received word of someone with a waking death refusing to submit themselves to the sanctuary. I'd be inclined to just haul them in by force, but Mayor Blake wishes to take precautions. She tilts her chalice at you. That's where you lot come in. And Domhnall here will accompany your little expedition. Won't you, Dom? Aye, says the other guard. You wonder to yourself whether this Domhnall is the other nephew you heard about, and speaking to Diota. Let's think of this. Yeah, I'm gonna go meet with the guild person. So who goes in instead though? Alice kind of doesn't really take charge of situations very much. Like she's probably the smartest of all of us, but she also kind of keeps herself back. She preferred to have her head in a book. Ayoko, on the other hand, is very forthright, but he went to the graveyard and he didn't get it done. But I'm gonna give him a second chance. Ayoko's gonna go. I'd rather attend to guild matters. I'll suggest Ayoko go in my stead. I have another engagement, you say, but Ayoko should take my place. Should I indeed, your colleague says, and why is that? If the patients are resistant, You think the former soldier will be able to rough them up, he says, finishing your sentence. It should never come to that, Alice murmurs in part to herself. Frida's snorted laugh interrupts your bickering. Look, amusing as this is, I was just told to secure a doctor for the evening. Don't care who. He gestures to Ayoko. Seems like he'll do fine. Right, Dom? Domhnall stands to attention. That's settled then, Frida says, hauling herself to her feet. No mistakes, Domhnall. The mayor wants everything to go smoothly. Understood, Captain. You watch as the head of the militia strides out, barging her way past Alice. Outside you hear her demanding to be shown to the exit, and the stooped monk begins a profuse apology. Suppose we'll be heading out then, Ayoko says, fixing his boar mask in place. After you, Domhnall. Okay, I'm going to have a sip of my tea and then we'll make contact with the guild. Okay, let's make contact. Leave the mayor's task in the capable hands and make your way to the sanctuary's rear entrance. At this hour, the enclosed alleyway is blanketed by near impenetrable darkness. You advance with care, feeling forward with a hand in case one of the corpse carts still resides here in the gloom. You came, says a familiar voice. Good. Her cane taps against the earthen floor as she walks closer. Alviva, you reply, trying to calm your startled heart. Let's walk together. The monochrome Alviva shape says, making its way to the end of the alley at a surprisingly assured pace. You do your best to follow, keeping your hand on the sanctuary wall and taking tentative steps. How do they even collect bodies at night? You grumble to yourself. Is this workplace not your own? Alviva asks. Imagine they bring torches. As should I. Do you extend an invitation just to watch me stumble around in the darkness? Amusing as it is, no. The two of you emerge from the mouth of the alley onto the main street of Thornback Hollow. Moonlight bathes the silent houses in a haunting glow. The night air is crisp and still. You see your breath forming before you when you speak. I have a task that requires a physician's guile, Alviva says, pausing at the side of the street. Guild members have told me of a tainted well. I believe it may relate to your plague. Tainted, you ask? Yes. The stories vary in their claims. Some suggest it causes sickness. Others are insisting it is cursed. I presume this is something you consider of interest. It is, you nod. Marvellous, then follow me. The guild leader sets off in an eastern direction. A few steps away, she turns back to you. By the way, how was your dinner? I trust our mayor did not disappoint. I chose to help you rather than her. That's to say it all. Alviva laughs. Yes, Sybil Blake has quite a talent for inspiring loyalty. The streets are still as the air. Your voices reverberate off the walls of tight-knit dwellings that line the lanes down which you travel together. The guild leader's passions are high, and she speaks with earnest fervour about the injustices of Crown society. You find her talk of solidarity and revolt intoxicating. Can't you feel it, Gamble? She says. The fermenting unrest, the undercurrent of discontent. Our time is coming. While the waking death still spreads, this talk is mere fancy, you warn her. It will take Crown loyalists and labourers alike. Indeed, Doctor. That is why I have brought you here tonight. Alviva points ahead to where the street opens into a small square, lit by the light from surrounding windows. You see the outline of a well in the centre and a figure standing alongside. Upon your approach, the figure dashes forward. "Back!" she shouts, making shooing motions with both arms. The bracelets adorning her arms jiggle with each gesticulation. "This place is cursed! It's unsafe!" You step forward to inquire about the well. The woman gasps as moonlight crosses your mask. I saw the rising wolf in my visions. This is an omen." "A fortuitous one," Alviva says. "My companion here is a physician. He will cleanse the well." "Mistress of the Sash," the woman replies, regarding the guild leader in a hushed tone. She spreads her arms wide, covering the approach to the well with her billowing black robes. I am sorry. You cannot come any closer. The well is afflicted. All who suck from it lose their senses." "Are they unable to sleep?" you ask. "It is possible," she replies. "Near all erupt into an uncontrollable dance. The rest perished." This certainly sounds like something worthy of further study. If we could only get nearer. I rely on my cheery disposition to win over the well's guardian. I constantly exploit the woman's vision to scare her. I swear, but I insist upon the medical necessity of... Let's rely on our cheery disposition. Let's see how that works. Oh, I hate the whole Windows auto bar down the bottom. Go away, idiot. "I won't be doing any supping, friend," you say. "I must say it seems you've been doing a terrific job keeping people safe from this well." "I've done what I can," she says, sounding weary. "Has anybody thanked you?" "Never. Many are incensed that I prevent them from drinking the water." "Well, we want to thank you. Protecting people from strange afflictions is a calling, much like my own." "Oh, You've already done so much, but now that responsibility can be shared. Maybe look at the well. Together, we may end this curse." No, again, I am sorry." The woman shakes her head. "You seem such a kind soul. I would not forgive myself if the well's curse were to take you too." You turn to Alviva, hoping that she may be able to exert some influence on this situation. She shrugs at you with her eyebrows. "Do not worry," says the woman of many bracelets. "I will maintain a vigil over this well. No more shall drink from it so long as I am here." "I suppose that will have to suffice," you say. "Without studying the well further, I cannot be certain, but I have encountered the symptoms of excessive uncontrolled movements before. Dead or dying rats near the water supply are usually the cause. We can, I believe, rule out this place as a source of the waking death." "They definitely sleep," she says, nodding. "More of a collapse, I suppose." You turn once again to Alviva, expressing that there is little more you can do here. "Hold a moment," the robed woman says, removing one of the bracelets from her wrist, "for allowing me to continue my work, and so that you may experience visions of your own. There is a compartment inside holding powders of enlightenment." Taking the jewellery from her, you examine and open a small seal near the clasp. You eye the substance inside and give it a cautious sniff. "Henbane," you say, recoiling as the brief feeling of giddiness hits. "Use it wisely," she replies, spreading her black robes in a wing flourish. You return her farewell and turn back to the sanctuary. Okay, and let me get another nice sip of tea. Not so fast. "There is one other matter," Alviva says. "Which is?" you say, halting mid-step. She gives the woman in robes a parting wave of her cane, checking to make sure she's out of earshot. "Across the street from here, 2 of my guild are being held prisoner. It's a temporary measure. They'll be transferred to the mayor's cells tomorrow. They have a short window of time to reverse a grave injustice." just across the street, you say. Convenient.
What are you suggesting?
That I was lured here under false pretenses.
I'm hurt that you would insinuate such a thing. The situation with the well was quite real. I happened upon it while watching the dwelling where my workers are held. Now, they're just a pair of guards and...
I'm interested, but why choose me to liberate your comrades?
Ah, she says, smiling, because you can get them out with no fuss.
And how's that?
Give the guards a convincing medical excuse for removing the prisoners, then walk them straight out of there.
What kind of excuse?
Well, that's really more your area.
The two of you look at one another. Fine. Show me where to go. Aviva leads you a short way down the street and directs your attention to an unremarkable house. You are about to question whether this is really the place when you spot one of Blake's militia stationed at the door.
It's not safe for me to be seen in this vicinity, she says, staying within the shadows cast by adjacent buildings. If you can get my people out, show them back to the tannery.
You're leaving? You ask. She taps her left leg with the cane.
I tend to need a head start in an escape.
You look back at the guarded house.
Listen, she says. This is no small task you do for the guild. Whatever happens here, I will not forget.
You give her a parting nod and cross the street. Just act natural. Hold there, the guard says. The scraps of blue clothing are offering the young man scant protection against the cold. You see him shiver as he raises his makeshift spear.
Why are...
That is, state your business here, he adds. First time, you ask.
I've done plenty of patrols. Stay back!
He waves the point of the spear as you try to step closer.
I'm asking you, what is your business here?
You see him glance at your mask.
My partner will be back any minute, so you'd better tell me.
Just one guard for the time being. All the better for your plan. What's your name? You demand.
I don't think I have to tell you.
You were asked a question. What is your name?
Domhnall,
he says, the weight of his spear pulling it back towards the arch. I just met another Domhnall in the mayor's militia. Unusual name. Do you know him? You wonder which of the two is his relation.
We've met. I don't like him. He can be cruel.
I see, you say. Now, Domhnall, you asked about my business here. I emphasize my authority, using his unease to my advantage. I tell him that the prisoner requires a surgery. Assessment, I'll convince him the captain's having an infection to scare him off. Ask him whether he knows that. Okay, I'm going to emphasize my authority because I got him off balance and I wanted to keep it that way. I emphasize my authority, using his unease to my advantage. There's been a change of plan, you inform him. The people you hold inside his dwelling will be placed under my care.
I haven't been told of this, he says. We need to wait. I can't just let you take them.
You step closer, pushing your mask close to the lad's face. With nowhere else to go, Domhnall edges back up against the door. His spear hangs useless at his side. You say nothing, staring him down through the slits.
I'm supposed to keep them here,
he protests, looking away. You try to place your hand on the crooked shaft of his spear, but Domhnall summons some courage, pushes you away. He catches you by surprise, and you waver backward. When you gain your balance, you find the point of the spear aimed at your chest.
I don't care who you are. You stay there, he says. Not one more step until my partner gets back.
This isn't going well. Nothing is going well for us. We're just everything seems like a shit show. With few sensible alternatives, you wait at the tip of Donald's spear. You consider trying to flee or wresting the weapon from his control. Neither seem worth the risk of being run through. Who is this? What kind of mess are you in this time? The assertive voice belongs to your captive's partner, a long-limbed woman with a tattered ear. From the scrap of chain mail over her chest and the domineering stride as she rounds the side of the building, you presume she holds higher rank. He wanted to interfere with the prisoner. I thought I should wait and check. You thought wrong, she says. Next time, show some initiative and stick to your orders. No visitors, no entry. The woman gestures at you. I don't care what you want, Mask. Piss off. Relieved to get off so easy, you leave the way she arrived, heading off around the corner of the dwelling. As you walk, you hear her continue to berate Donald.
Got your orders. And you got a brain up there somewhere. Next time, try and find it and use it.
Oi! Someone calls at your feet. You look around in confusion. Down here! The hushed shout comes from a narrow opening, where or poor construction has left a gap between the basement and the floor above. You kneel down, trying to peer through. We heard you trying to get us out. Listen, you need to know. I told you to piss off. You're startled by the guard's voice. Turning, you see her advancing on you, sword drawn. Scrambling to your feet, you start to run. The shackled stag! The prisoner yells after you. Look to the shackled stag! Their cries become muffled, clashing with the pounding of your boots on the street and the blood in your ear. You think you hear them say the word plague, then smugglers. With those strange words playing in your head, you make your way back to the sanctuary. Reunite with our colleagues. You reconvene with your fellow doctors in the cellar laboratory. Ayoko sits nursing a goblet of warm mead. With her fox mask in hand, Alice stands, restless, by an adjacent bench. Between you, you discuss what has been gleaned from the evening's events. This shackled stag, you say. I'll ask around, says Ayoko. Leave it with me. I'll have more on the morrow. As time wears on, a weariness drags your eyelids down. You try to concentrate on the ongoing conversation, blinking hard in a losing effort to chase away your body's need for slumber. Voices start to blend and swim. Your eyelids rest. With a violent twitch, you jerk awake to the sound of Ayoko's mead sweetened tones. And besides, we can't act until then. Gowl here is barely able to keep his eyes open. I fear I won't have that luxury tonight, Alice says. But on this you are right. She turns for the door. After the morning rounds, we can't afford further delay. Agreed, Ayoko says. Gamal, rest well while you can. You're on dawn duties for the sanctuary hall. With a tired groan, you summon strength to get yourself back to your chambers. Your sleep is fitful and oppressive. Oppressive is how I'm feeling the game has been towards me, that's all that to say. So it's very fitting. Yeah, but nice sup of tea makes everything feel alright. Okay, so digging deeper. You feel pressure behind your eyes and the muscular complaints of another night without enough sleep. Trying to blink away your weariness, you shield your eyes and look up at the patches of winter sunshine creeping around the sides of the sanctuary towers. The first shards of dawn are crisscrossing their way across the frosted green of the courtyard, soon to leave a melted latticework pattern in their wake. As you look back toward the doors of the main hall, you see the hind legs and tail of a squirrel as it darts for cover. Just rapid enough to avoid the pot, you think to yourself. Passing the well in the centre of the grass, you trudge your way up to the patterned entrance of the sanctuary hall, leaving footprints in the frost. You take a deep gulp of the outside air, in preparation for the stale stench of disease that awaits you indoors. The cold tastes fresh and bracing, speckling your lungs with frost. Reaching for the door knocker, you ring out a series of 3 heavy thuds. Latches click within. The sanctuary hall is packed tight. The smell of oak branches emanating from burning bowls cannot conceal the sickly, clinging aroma of decay. You watch as diligent monks do their best to tend to rows of groaning, pained patients. Relatives and family members attend besides, trying their best to offer comfort in impossible conditions. A monk bumps against your elbow as they hurry to squeeze past, carrying textured blankets. They call out a weary apology, and you catch the exhaled expression on their face. Even efficiencies of Al-Razi's infirmary reforms, implemented at your request after your return from the mayor's mansion, are being tested to their limits. If matters continue to escalate at this rate, you fear the clergy may be overwhelmed by their workload. You look around the room, hoping to spot Marilda. The prioress is directing a flock of monks, trying to maneuver them through the sea of patients and relatives. You see her gesticulate in frustration at one hapless fellow. "Marilda!" you call, heading over towards her. She turns ahead, developing a look of irritation as she catches sight of you.
As I know, you can see, I am extremely busy, Gamel. What do you want?
"This can't continue," you say, motioning around the room.
It won't have to, if you get on with finding... Hold on.
Marilda pauses, directing another pair of monks carrying water to the far end of the hall.
With finding a cure.
Yeah, at present visiting family members simply stand idle. It would be opportune to employ those hands. "How about employing the services of these visitors?" you say, pointing at the various guests dotted around the hall. "They could do some of the simple fetching and carrying, take some of the responsibility away from the monks."
Your friend with the tusks was a staunch opponent of even allowing these relatives in the hall, Prioress replies. Am I now to consider giving them responsibilities of care?
"I tackle problems as I see them," you say with a shrug. "It was decided to allow these people to be present. Whether we employ their labour or not, the risk of infection remains."
The clergy are familiar with their tasks, and I have enough trouble organising them, Marilda says. Don't wish to imagine the untold chaos I'd unleash by allowing the citizens of Thornback to run wild in the infirmary. They could be given the easiest... My answer is no. Our visitors are here as a kindness to their wilting kin. I will not burden them with further duties. You leave Marilda to the cyclical toil of her duties. With your ideas rejected, you'll just have to hope that the infirmary monks are able to weather their debilitating workload without too much damage to body or nerves. Attend your duties. Yep. Shut down at every turn. T is the answer. To attend to our duties. The rest of the morning you dedicate to palliative care, doing what little you are able for the afflicted. Depart and find your colleagues. The smell of damp grass revives your dull senses as you step outside into the courtyard. Patches of frost persist only in the most stubborn shadows, leaving the rest of the grass with a dewy sheen. The well at its centre is once again surrounded by a gaggle of clergy, hard at work, filling a fresh batch of barrels. One of the monks pauses to look your way as you inhale the air and stretch your arms wide. How goes the extraction, you call? Will we have water through the winter? It's slow work, she replies, but yes, sage willing, if the harsher frosts refrain for another day or two, we will have preserved enough. Have you seen my companions, you ask, the boar and the fox? She shakes her head. Your intuition suggests that Alice, at least, will be working in the laboratory.
laboratory. Wasting no further time, you make your way through the dormitory corridors and down the steps to the cellar. To your surprise, it is the voice of Abbot Quelm that first reaches your ear.
Your ministrations have my support, but there is fear in our corridors. The infection spreads still.
This plague strains the limits of our knowledge. As you thought, Alice is present.
Mere prevention is not enough. We must experiment aggressively in pursuit of a cure.
Quite apart from that, we may have an even more immediate concern, you hear Ayoko add.
What could be more immediate than ending this plague?
The abbot asks. The look of astonishment is still on his wrinkled face as you enter the room.
We were waiting on Gamel before beginning that very discussion,
Ayoko replies, nodding in greeting. I know a little more than what we spoke of last night, you admit.
Then I shall pick up where we left off, Ayoko says. My inquiries into the shackled stag were most fruitful. Apparently, it is either a fertility ritual of dubious merit or a local tavern of equally dubious merit. Given the circumstances, the latter would seem the more promising lead.
Then let's waste no time. Ayoko nods in agreement.
Forgive me,
the abbot remarks.
I may be slowing in my old age, but why does a tavern take priority over your duty as a physicians?
We have reason to believe Thornback Hollow's quarantine may have been breached, you reply, and this shackled stag could provide further proof. Quell mouths some words and traces the mark of the sage across his torso. It may not be too late, Ayoko says. We know there are limits to the spread of this plague. It can be infectious, as its unfortunate victims among the clergy can attest, but there are others who work the infirmary every day whom it has not touched. If we learn of a breach and seal it quickly, our luck may hold. You look around the room. As it falls silent, the masks of your colleagues conceal any outer hint of their inner contemplations. The abbot's head is bowed. Our situation is stark, you say. We must pursue one of the leads presented to us. Oh, apparently the mayor is involved in it, but we don't know that. Okay. Now, see, this is the kind of thing where, if it was me, I would say, listen, Ayoko, you go to the tavern. I'm going to go get Lucia. We're going to go and deal with the directions. But we can't do that, so we're going to take the tavern because that seems the most immediate thing. And then hopefully we can follow the pattern later, and it's not just a case of make a choice here and then the other choice is gone forever. But we'll see. Let's go to the tavern. Whatever untoward activities are at play here, the Shackled Stag seems like the epicenter, you say. We should go there at once.
I'll lead the way, Ayoko says. It may be wise to remove our masks as we approach. If our sources are correct, the painters are unlikely to be forthcoming about any organized smuggling to a trio of plague doctors.
A trio? Says Alice. I suppose that means I'm attending this jaunt too? If you can control yourself around the mead. She laughs as she clears aside some of the clutter on her bench. Then let's waste no more time, you say, offering the abbot a cursory farewell as you depart. Make haste to the tavern. Okay, I think that is where we are going to leave that one. So, hope you have enjoyed. Hope you're keeping safe out there, and hope to see you next time. Goodbye. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, maybe consider hitting the subscribe button there on the right, or checking out some other videos here on the left, or perhaps you might even share with some friends.